Alright, so we're down here at the drivetrain. This is the drive shaft. Tell everybody what you're doing over there.
Before we had an issue, some bolts got broke with this drive shaft up there at the transmission, and it fell as Rick was delivering a load one time. So because of that, messed up the carrier bearing here and mushed the bolts that hold this U-joint in. So now I'm just trying to get a socket to stay on there and see if I can get the bolts out. Otherwise, if I can't, the whole drive shaft all the way down is going to have to come out. And to separate it, we're going to have to cut the bolts. So.
Alright, so first there's 4 bolts. Nick is just getting out the last one to the U-joint back here, midway back, right?
Yeah. And like I said earlier, when the drive shaft fell up front, it smashed and flattened these bolts. So had to kind of be creative on how to get these bolts out. So,
and then there's 2 straps, if you will, one on bottom, one on top, that hold the universal joint in there, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he's taking off right now. It's the last bolt. Perfect.
Yeah.
And, let me show that. So there's 2 of these, right? One on each side.
Yeah.
Alright.
So, I don't know if you can see how flattened those are.
Yeah.
But flattened so much you couldn't get a socket on there, so I had to pound it out with a chisel to get it started, and then worked it the rest of the way off with a wrench. So,
Cool.
but it's out, and those are going to be replaced.
Yes.
So, now onto the drive shaft.
Alright, now we can slide the back half of the drive shaft out, right?
Yep.
That's what we're doing right now. Boom, it's done, it's out. Or it's down, at least.
Down. We're going to take the other end off because we're going to replace the U-joints, which are right here. Like that's the U-joint. So we're replacing it here, in the back, in the front, and there's a smaller drive shaft in between the tandems. We're going to change them on that too. So yeah.
All new hardware for everything. And then that right there is the actual carrier bearing, right?
Yeah, which is messed up. We're getting a new one of those too.
So the carrier bearing is actually inside this. If you see like the like this right here, it's there's a bearing on the inside of there that's packed with rubber, right? A rubber seal around there, and it kind of holds this from like freaking wobbling around there like that. So we're to change all that stuff out. So first step was to get that down. Now on to the next thing. So this is the same U-joint setup as before, just out of the back of the transmission, right?
Yeah.
So might need a pry bar to pry it open, or pry it out of there. Slowly but surely it's coming.
Don't let them drop it on me. There it goes.
watch out as you're lowering it down. It's pretty heavy, obviously. It's a beefy drive shaft, so safety first. Just need to get that universal joint out of there. Work it out of there. Perfect. There it is. And as you can see, that's the back of the transmission, and then you go here. That's to where the carrier bearing was, and where the back drive shaft hooks into this one. So there it is. Next step complete. On to the next one. All right. Well, I had to help him. The drive shaft is heavy as shit. But the next thing after we took the front part of the drive shaft was that midpoint where the carrier bearing was. There was two bolts around here, as you can see, with that bracket. You just two bolts coming out of there. You just take the nuts off those bolts, and then the whole carrier bearing, as you can see, comes out, and the whole front part of the drive shaft comes out as well. So on to the next part, which is the back half of the drive shaft, which is right there. Alright, so let us know how the condition of the carrier bearing is.
The bearing itself seems to be decent. It's just, as you can see, all this rubber around here,
right,
it's completely wasted. You can see it's been rubbing all the way on the bottom here. The rubber is completely gone.
Yeah, okay.
So this is just to hold it in place, so when you shift, it's not banging around, and the torque differential doesn't fling the drive shaft up and down. But as you can see, when we dropped the drive shaft, it messed up the rubber, and now there's nothing holding the drive shaft in place. So every time we shift, every time we change torque, the drive shaft is flexing up and down, and that's really hard on bearings in the transmission and U-joints and stuff. So,
right, so every time you shift, like, freaking wobbles back and forth and wobbles all around and everything, right?
Yeah.
And that's not good. So it should be like solid around this freaking rubber.
It's pretty much up and down. See, there to there,
Right.
So, it's pretty much what you hear is it banging, up against
the metal and everything.
Yeah. There
you can see it's kind of wearing around here too from it banging around there.
Yeah, that should be
there's
alright.
Some wear marks. So, well, it's bad. I mean, a lot of this stuff was bad, but we're freaking switching it out and swapping them out right now, fixing it.
Yep.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, we got the back half of the drive shaft out, as you can see. There's the front of the front axle right there, so the entire drive shaft is out. Heck yeah. On to the next thing. And that has the same 4 bolts around the strap holding in the universal joint. Same as everything else. So. Well, alright, we got the back drive shaft out. The way that you take these out is the same as the other universal joints on the front 2 drive shafts. Just those 4 bolts are on the strap. We had to actually use heat to get them off because the previous owners put a bunch of Loctite on there. But it's out, so now we could freaking swap out all the universal joints, and put them back in. So what do you think of that one, Nick?
That was a bitch. I'm probably covered in grease, huh?
Oh yeah. You're
Yeah.
covered. You're covered.
Yeah, that was a pain. That one was hard.
Yeah.
That one took a while.
Yeah. But when in doubt, I mean, if things are like torqued, like way beyond what they're supposed to, whatever, freaking heat it up with a torch, right?
Yeah.
You'll be able to get it.
Yeah, stuff that's rusted, it's kind of a trick. And obviously stuff that's Loctited. Heat it up just a little bit and then you'll be able to work it off loose.
Yep. Alright, well, all 3 drive shafts are finally out. Now we could swap out the universal joints, which are right there, and press the other ones in there. Then reassemble everything. Finally. Fuck, man. Yeah, that last one was a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a tough one for sure.